I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, Starborn Institute, this week, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is rather hopeful. The title is Moving Up, and that is because there are two very strong planets in the heavens, and they're at home in the sign they rule, so that's why they're so strong. But they're also trining each other. Well, that just doubles their strength. And they are part of a grand trine in water signs. So there's a third planet that's trining them as well. And so this is a time for all of us to sort of heal up. The water signs rule healing. And it's a time to think about sort of moving up in one way or another. And that is because we've made it through a terrible pandemic. We've seen all kinds of economic disruptions in our lives, either that had to do with our jobs or our homes or the schools or whatever. And it just proves how resilient we are, because we did make it through. Americans are very adaptable. The nation's rising sign is Gemini, and Gemini rules versatility and adaptability. So we've done all the adapting. And now, I think, as we think about the future, we should be thinking about moving up. And the stars are with you if you're thinking like that. And the reason why is that today we have the moon in Cancer. Now, the moon is the ruler of Cancer, which is also America's sun sign. So moving up is pretty good for America, too. And the moon is the traditional ruler of the fourth house of home and last half of life. So it does rule endings. But they're generally a long time coming, and they're very good endings. So there's nothing wrong with that. And that could be something that is winding up or ending in our lives in one way or another. And for that very reason, you could be thinking of, say, moving up to something else. Please pardon the traffic noises. There's always excitement around here. So the moon in Cancer, which also rules our feelings and our families, is very well aspected because it's at home in the sign it rules. But it is trining another planet that's at home in the sign it rules, Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes. It rules all areas of confinement. And it also rules, since it's a double-bodied, mutable sign, it can rule the height of something, such as in your highest dreams, or it can rule the lowest of something, such as degradation or the kind of confinement that you have in a concentration camp or in a prison or a jail or even a hospital or sanitarium, something that, could confine you. And so Pisces really rules healing, but it's a kind of healing that sort of creeps up on you, which is good, because it takes a little time for a dream to come true, doesn't it? Well, this is a time when one could. And that's why I think you can be moving up. Because Neptune is not only in the sign it rules, but it is being so favorably trined by the moon in Cancer. But there's more to the story. And that is because Venus, the planet of love and peace and partnership and goodwill, and the law and contracts, because Venus rules two signs. It rules Libra and it rules Taurus. And so Venus is now in Scorpio, the third water sign. And Scorpio is a fixed sign. And it rules survival and justice. And it rules the whole medical field, particularly the area of surgery, because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, which rules sharp instruments, and a surgeon needs that, and by Pluto, which rules deep psychological transformation and change, or the very essence of the truth that could be hidden under a pile of subterfuge, but it's still there. And so Venus is in Scorpio. So if the truth comes out from behind the scenes because Venus is trining Neptune, or a dream comes true because Venus is trining Neptune, that could happen too. Still, it would represent some sort of moving up. And it would represent a sort of a time when you can better yourself. You can make yourself a little happier by whatever choice you're about to make. And it could be very favorable. It could be something where you feel like you've been through a storm and now you would just like to do something that makes you happy. You know, there's a difference between struggling in a pandemic and really deciding, okay, we're in calm water now. How about trying to do something that can make people happy or make yourself happy? So there are a variety of ways that you can move up right now. The first one, which does have to do with the moon in Cancer because it rules real estate, could be a move up to a new location. Maybe you want to move in your neighborhood, or maybe you want to move somewhere else in the country, or maybe you want to consolidate. In other words, some families may have been affected by the way that the economy was so badly held down, and we haven't all recovered from the pain of having that economy locked down. And so it can be that some families are deciding to move together, or they can be remodeling and adding on to their homes so that the relatives can move in. Who knows? But because Cancer is a water sign, there is the possibility that you could be thinking about moving to a new location, and it might be near water. And that would be a move up for you. Be different than where you're living now. Not only different, but better. And so that could happen. So that's one kind of move up that is entirely possible, and it would be made for motives of wanting to be happy, or wanting to have something heal up and sort of go on with life. So that's good because it would be a move up. The second move up could be something that has to do with an opportunity that comes your way so that you could trade in your stale social life. In other words, perhaps under the pandemic you had not been seeing your friends the way you used to, or you had been confined in one way or another. But now there could be an opportunity to do something that is more spiritually satisfying to you, or more stimulating. Maybe more stimulating intellectually. Maybe you're thinking of going back to school. Well, that's fine, because that would stimulate you. But also, there can be the idea that if we're going to come this close to something that can harm society, like a pandemic that we've just been through, maybe we should reevaluate what's important to us and realize, that there's always a higher power, and that one of the strongest things in the world is the power of prayer. Because nobody's king of the mountain, and we all need help. And humility is a good trait. For somebody to realize that, they don't really control everything is good. Because somebody who is humble or has humility is more or less willing to forgive and forget. And that's a good quality too. So for instance, the way that this could come about is, I'm going to give you an example of my brother. My brother is 6'3", and we call him the gentle giant because, he wouldn't hurt a fly, but you wouldn't argue with him either. And he does something different for a living, but he lives in the South. And the Deep South is the Bible Belt of America. And one day when he was going to church, somebody came up to him and said, we're a little short-handed. Would you mind helping out in our soup kitchen on Christmas Day, feeding the poor? And he said, well, okay. And he went. And then there were more and more and more days like that. Turns out my brother likes soup kitchens. He really felt good about doing that. You know, it was satisfying to him in a spiritual way. And so as the years went on, you know, he was liking that, but maybe thinking there was more to life than that too. And so he began to study in the ministry. And now he's a minister. Who knew? But it comes from just starting small and doing something that pleases you and gives you a sense of spirituality, or a sense of doing well, or a sense of doing what you feel you're born for. It wouldn't have to be spiritual. I mean, it could also be something that is very satisfying to you. It could be a type of interest that you have, or work that you wish you were doing, even if you weren't doing it now. But that could represent a move up as well. He always continued making a living in his regular job. I mean, it paid a little better. But it's the ministry that's his life's work. And so maybe in some way you can move up to your life's work. And that would be pretty nice, but it's entirely possible right now. The third way that there could be a move up for you is if you decided to really go for a promotion at work. Now that would include you taking on extra responsibility. But, you know, this pandemic has taught us that life is short. Okay? And so if you feel that you want to surge ahead in your career, or you feel you can do a better job than somebody else, well, go ahead, apply for that job. If it means taking on more responsibility, it also means a bigger paycheck. That would be good. So that is a way that you can move up career-wise. And so there's different ways we can move up now. But they are all exactly and beautifully aspected right now. I don't know why we wouldn't try to move up. I mean, the timing's great. A grand trine of these particular 3 planets in the water signs would be, it's just ideal. And that's because there would be a healing aspect to whatever you do. It would be healing you. It might be healing others as well. And so that would be a nice move up. However, there's always a cost or a pitfall to things, isn't there? And right now we have to be aware of the pitfalls so that we don't fall into them. So you can avoid them or go around them. And these pitfalls that I'm talking about have to do with the fact that there are 5 planets in the cardinal signs in a harsh T-cross, all squaring and opposing each other. And there are another 4 planets in the fixed signs, all squaring and opposing each other. So for instance, in the fixed signs, that Venus in Scorpio is opposing Uranus in Taurus, and they are the 2 fixed financial signs. But Venus is the ruler of Taurus. It's opposing the sign it rules. That's not too good. And on top of that, Uranus is a very volatile, unstable planet. But the Earth signs have been well aspected for most of the summer. There have been trines in the Earth signs. However, there are not as many as there were before. So that Uranus in Taurus is only being trined by one other planet, and that is Pluto in Capricorn. That particular trine among those 2 planets will remain in place until 2025. So those two planets aren't moving until 2025. Pluto in Capricorn, Uranus in Taurus. But the problem is there isn't any other reinforcement there. And Venus in Scorpio is being beautifully reinforced by that moon in Cancer and by Neptune in Pisces. And so this is a time, since the 2 financial signs have planets in them that are opposing each other, this is a time when no matter what you decide to do, you should employ the old adage, buyer beware. buyer beware. So if I were you, I wouldn't really jump hard into something, particularly not financially, unless you either try it out first, I mean, you're allowed to do that, or else you investigate further to make sure that everything is sort of on the up and up. And for instance, if you were buying a home, don't be so rushed that you don't get an inspection first. Excuse me. Otherwise, you might be buying a big mysterious mistake. So you have to watch out for that. That could be a pitfall. Excuse me. And then the 5 planets that are in the cardinal signs are also all coming at each other. 3 of them are in only one sign, Libra. So the Sun, Mars, and Mercury are in Libra, and they are being squared by Pluto in Capricorn. That means Mars and Pluto are squaring each other. That's not too good, particularly for financial matters, so remember the buyer beware. But the 3 planets in Libra are also being squared by that magnificent moon in Cancer today, which is so well backed up because it's part of the grand trine. So I would say you really are better off moving up right now. I think it'll be easy for you. There isn't going to be a whole lot of problems connected with that. I mean, that's the one thing that could go right now. But you do have to watch out for people that may want to break a contract. You know, Libra rules the law and it rules contracts. They may want to break a contract right now because they don't like the terms even though they signed it. Or they may decide to do something that is sort of rebellious. They may decide to skip out. That some agreement that you had with somebody, the other party may decide to just skip out. Because Mars is involved. You know, Mars isn't happy in Libra, but it's sure there. And the Sun and Mars are conjuncting each other exactly today. So a legal pitfall or a higher cost or something to do with a contract or a partnership, it could be on your agenda. It might be a problem that you sort of have to pay attention to and try to solve right now. But it isn't going to stop the idea that this is an excellent time to move up for you. And it can be in your career by going for a promotion. It can be in something that you do, even if it's just small to start with, that is very pleasing to you. And, you know, it just gives you a whole new meaning to your life. You can move up to that. That's fine. Or it can simply be that wherever you're living now, you may be able to move up to a nicer location, and it could perhaps be near water, since this is a grand trine in the water signs. So I urge you to do that and give that a try. It's just watch out for those pitfalls. Buyer beware, and watch out for somebody that might skip out on something or break a contract. So you got to be a little careful what you sign these days. But I think if you move up, you're going to be very happy to do it. It's going to have a good effect on you. So I hope you give that a try. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Once again, there are no planets in fire signs. Ooh, that's getting to be pretty tiresome, isn't it, Aries? But it just means that you may not feel as fired up as you usually are. I mean, an Aries is a go-getter. But, you know, yours is a cardinal sign, Aries. I can understand why you might feel like you want to slow down a little bit, or that there are a few pitfalls or higher costs in your life, because there probably are right now. And that is because, since yours is a cardinal sign, there are 5 other planets squaring and opposing your sun sign. So that's hard to make headway, isn't it? Because one of the signs is really loaded, and it is that Mars, your own ruler, along with the Sun, they're both conjuncting today, and Mercury are in Libra, and they're all opposing your sun sign. This can mean that somebody is not happy with whatever you've been doing. Now you could say, oh, I'm a little angel, I've been doing everything right. Well, then you're just going to run into some unhappy people anyway. Maybe they're not, in other words, they could take out their anger on you. Whether you did anything to deserve it or not, they could still do that. Because there's a lot of power. Those 3 planets are powerful. And you don't have any planets in your sign. In fact, there's none in fire signs at all. There's no backup. And then that moon in Cancer, which is so beautifully aspected right now, is squaring your sun sign, which means there may be a move, perhaps for someone else in your family. And it could work out really well. But if you're thinking of making a move, there might be a little hitch, and I'm guessing it would be a legal hitch that might stand in your way, so that you should try to employ patience, because I think you're going to need a little more of it. And you may not get your way as quickly as you would like, Aries, but I would say that no matter what pitfalls you run into now, by the beginning of December, say right after Thanksgiving, I think things could sort of iron out and things could work out better for you. And then Pluto in Capricorn, which rules your career, is also squaring your sun. So there's something in your career that needs changing, Aries. And unfortunately, I think that as time goes on, the change will not be in your hands. It's going to be in somebody else's hands, and they're going to do it. So I don't know what your schedule is, or what your holiday plans are, or if you're thinking of traveling or whatever. You should travel around the holidays. That'll make you feel great. But I think you're going to run into pitfalls right now, either of the buyer beware kind, or of the partners that skip out kind. You more or less will have to sort of take it, Aries, because some of your power, whether it was inside of you or whether you gathered power by the people that were around you, say a whole group, well, that either the group is dispersing or the power is just waning, and you cannot draw on it the way you could before because it's not there. And that's why you're going to have to put up with a few pitfalls right now. And I hope you just develop as much patience as you can, because you still have to be very angelic right now, Aries, because there is always the possibility of somebody deciding they're going to sue or prosecute. And that'll pass once Mars leaves Libra, but it's in Libra right now. So if I were you, and since it's your own sun sign, I would be on my best behavior no matter what right now, and just hope and pray that that things cool off a little bit. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus, this is a time when you may be feeling as if, yes, you do want to move up. And I'll bet you it's in your job or in your career somewhere. Or it could be in an organization that you're involved with that is somewhat prestigious. It could be a community organization, or it could be something that is affiliated with your career. And if you wanted to move up to that, I would go ahead and give that a try, Taurus. It's just that there's no grand trine in earth signs anymore, but there is Pluto in Capricorn trining your sun, where you have Uranus. It's just that Uranus in your sign is now being opposed by a very well-placed Venus in Scorpio. And so my guess, Taurus, is that if you do go for that promotion and you get it, or you do go for something that is somewhat expensive but you can afford it, my guess is there's going to be an extra little tax problem accompanying that. And so it could, somehow I think you're going to be involved in higher taxes on something. And for instance, if you got the promotion, you would be earning more money. Well, then you'd owe more taxes. But I think you can handle that, can't you, Taurus? Because I think this is a very good time for you to capitalize on the gains that you have made over the summer. And go ahead and try to move up in one way or another. Maybe it's to a nicer home. Maybe it's to doing something that is more spiritually satisfying to you or mentally stimulating. Or else maybe it's just a better job with an employer that's a really good employer. So I would give that a try. The reason why you're going to have to spend a little extra effort on that, though, is because both Uranus in your sign and Pluto in Capricorn are both retrograde. And that means you have to go back and tie up some loose ends somewhere, or maybe you'll even have to have a little refresher course in something in order to bring your skill level up. But you can do it, Taurus. I think you're going to do just fine. But I also think the tax man's going to come and visit you one way or the other. But that's the price of success, and you could still be very successful. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when, you may want to be leading a very gentle life. That soft little moon in Cancer is right ahead of your sun sign. And so you could be thinking about home and family and holidays and things like that, and that would be great. But there are just a whole lot of planets that are trining your sun right now, Gemini. And I think that if you're going to move up, it's going to be career related. It's going to be something that you do in the public eye. And it will have pitfalls, but it will be something that should have been done before, or it's involved with something that should have been done right before. But maybe it's going to finally be done right now. Now, what I mean by that is there are 5 planets all trining your sun sign, Gemini. Oh, wow. That's why I think the tide of affairs is going to sweep you along. And, I think you're going to move up. And it may not be all your idea. It might be something where it's just a matter of public opinion, and you respond positively to it, and there you go. That's fine. And the reason why it could be happening now is because you really have a lot of muscle behind your sun sign. It's the 29th, so yes, you still have the lucky North Node in Gemini, but that's pretty much the end of it. It's leaving, tomorrow. And so what you have is the Sun conjuncting Mars and Mercury, your own ruler, in Libra, trining your Sun. Aren't you lucky? But you also have Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, the sign of the future, and even though they're retrograde, they too are trining your Sun. So I would say that no matter what trouble there has been in the past, which could have been a partnership issue or a legal problem that caused trouble, it's going to sort of move forward now. The planets in Libra are all direct. There's nothing retrograde about them. The planets in Aquarius are retrograde, and that is an indication you just got to go back and try something again. But now I don't think it's just you that's going to do that. I think there's going to be a lot of support for you to move forward, to move up. And so get ready to do it, Gemini, because I'm pretty sure you're going to. And it is in response to perhaps a pitfall or something that went wrong, maybe even a legal thing that went wrong, that is getting corrected, getting fixed now, and it will benefit you when it does that. Or it can be that you are deciding that you need to put in a little more effort on something that didn't work once, but that it could work now, particularly if you give it more effort, which is true. So I think there's the move up for you, Gemini, is that some doors are going to open that perhaps had been closed. They may have even been closed for the wrong reason. But now they're going to open, because that's the way it should have been to start with. And so I think you need to sort of move up and step up, Gemini, and get ready. If I were you, get ready for more work, or get ready to greet the public more. And that's all right. I think that you're actually very well prepared for some sort of advance. It may have been something that you were just, it could be this move up that is spiritually satisfying or very mentally stimulating. So go right ahead and do it, Gemini. You're just the right person, and there are other people that are really supporting you right now. I don't think you could say no to them either. I don't think they'd like to hear no. So I hope you say yes. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. This is a wonderful time for you, Cancer. And it's sort of a benign, calm time. And Cancers are very good cooks. But they like home cooking. Or they like recipes that other family members used to do. So you may be thinking about the holidays right now. You certainly could be thinking about a move up of some sort. Whether you're remodeling your home, whether you're adding on to it because the relatives are moving in, or whether you are just thinking that you'd like somewhere nicer. You could do that. You could move up to a better location, which perhaps may be near water, which you would love, because Cancer is a water sign. Now remember, I mentioned that Cancer rules the 4th house of home and last half of life. So it rules endings. They're very good endings. Cancers take a long time to end something, because no matter what the reason is for something ending, they like everybody to sort of be okay with it. And so they take a long time to work up on that. And it's generally always successful. Cancers just have this sort of magic way of turning things around so that an ending is okay with everybody. I don't know how they do it, but they're very good at that. And so Cancer, you may be looking forward with a sigh of relief now that something has worked out pretty well for you. And now you can be thinking about making a dream come true. This may be a dream you haven't talked to too many people about, because maybe you didn't think it would ever come true. But it looks to me like the timing is pretty good for that, because the moon in your sign, Cancer, is trining Neptune in Pisces, and Neptune rules dreams. And maybe this is something that your little heart has always yearned for. Well, nothing's stopping it. I don't think there's anything stopping it, Cancer. And that is because Neptune rules Pisces, the moon rules your sign, they are both trining each other, and Venus in Scorpio is trining both of them. But it gets a little better than that. Venus is at 21 degrees of Scorpio today, and so is Neptune in Pisces. They are in exact trine. 21 is a Jupiter number. It's a wonderful number. And Jupiter represents opportunities and expansion. So I think you're moving on up there, Cancer, in one way or another. And I feel like saying congratulations. And remember, this is America's sun sign. So maybe America's moving on up too. The time is sure right for that. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time without any planets, once again in the fire signs, that you may be thinking that, oh, well, you could take a breather now. You could relax. You could start planning your holiday parties, things like that. Uh-oh, but remember what I said, Leo? There are pitfalls and costs to things that we need to watch out for. Even if all of us want to move up in one way or another, by an actual physical move to a nicer location, or by doing something that is more spiritually or mentally stimulating and satisfying, or by just going for a promotion at work, or even starting your own company. You'd love to do that, Leo. So all of those things are possible, but you've got to watch out for the pitfalls. Why? Because yours is a fixed sign. And there are 4 planets in fixed signs that are all harshly squaring and opposing each other. And all of them are doing that to your sign all at the same time, Leo. So believe me, this is not a time to take a gamble with anything. It really isn't. Don't do that. And that is because there might be too many pitfalls around, or costs could get too high. Because Uranus in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, is squaring your sun sign. That really means you mustn't gamble, particularly not with your investments, because the value of your investments could fluctuate wildly right now. And then Venus in Scorpio is also squaring your sun, which means, for one thing, there would be, if you had a higher income, it would mean higher taxes as well. So you might have a little tax problem in the future. But generally, when these 2 financial signs have planets that are in harsh aspect to each other, it means buyer beware. And so you cannot trust that if you're buying something that's really the true value of it. So you ought to investigate it a little bit more closely. Or you can't afford to take a gamble with anything. It really won't pay off. In fact, you could lose a lot. And then Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius are opposing your sun sign. They've been doing that for a while, and they're going to continue to do that until the end of December, when Jupiter finally moves on. But Saturn will continue to oppose your sun for the next 2 years. So I think you're going to have to be very careful, Leo. Whatever way you're wanting to move up, you better check and double check all the financial figures, or any legal contract that you sign. You really better ask somebody else to read it and see if they could find anything wrong with it. Because the sun is conjuncting Mars in Libra. That does sextile your sun. That's not a harsh aspect, that's a good aspect. But still, with 5 planets in the cardinal signs, it's either that somebody wants to break a contract, or they want to skip out of one, or else it's just buyer beware as far as your money goes. And so I would say that this is a time to be cautious, Leo. And no matter how good something sounds, I would think it over if I was you. Or if you can do something that you want to do, like moving up somehow, but you can do it just on a trial basis, that would be okay. But if you start having it cost you money, or you start having to sign contracts, I would say it's a little premature. And you might want to give the trial basis thing a little try first and see how you like it. Try something on before you bet the farm on it. It could be different than you think, so be cautious. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo. Well, Virgo, you may feel as if you are just about to walk into quicksand. And the reason why is because there aren't as many planets in the earth signs right now. There's just Uranus in Taurus, which is trining your sun, but it's retrograde. And Pluto in Capricorn is trining your sun, but it too is retrograde. Those 2 are going to stay like that, trining your sun, until 2025. So I think that you're doing okay with management in your job, and I think that you are doing okay in financial dealings or your investments for the most part, but you may have to redo some of those things as well, since both those planets are retrograde. However, the quicksand part, that can be right in front of you, Virgo. And the reason why is because the Sun, Mars, and Mercury, your own ruler, are all in Libra right ahead of your sun sign. And, you know, you could step into a legal mess right now. If you were tempted to do that, I would say back off. Instead, you should be a little bit more cautious, or defer that until at least after Christmas, the decision that you would have to make. Because, Virgo, these 3 planets in Libra are themselves being very harshly aspected by, they're being squared by Pluto in Capricorn, and also by the gentle moon in Cancer, which is beautifully aspected right now. So there may be a little problem in your home, or with your family, or something that has to do with sort of the business side of something. And you would want to be pretty careful about that. I mean, no one likes stepping into quicksand. So I would not be in a rush right now, Virgo. And just take your time, or else take one small baby step at a time so that you don't get in too deep. At least not right now. I just think that you should give something a little more time for you to ask yourself how comfortable you feel with something before you make up your mind about it. Think it over a little bit longer. Because these 3 planets in Libra really do indicate there are people around that want to break contracts, or else they want to just skip out of something. And you would not be happy if you signed a contract with somebody like that. And that's why I would just either take baby steps, or else just sit back. If people are not in a hurry, just sit back and think about it until after the holidays. That it can't hurt you to hesitate a little bit, and that doesn't mean that you can't develop an idea a little bit better. You could, and in that sense you'd be moving up a little bit by developing it. But I would say this is not the time to sign on the dotted line. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra, this is the time when you know you can be just feeling supercharged, because today the Sun and Mars are both conjuncting each other in your sign, and Mercury is in your sign as well, and they are being squared by Pluto in Capricorn and that very powerful moon in Cancer. So there may be a problem in your family life, or with a real estate matter, or there can be something at work that is beyond your control, Libra. You could be mad about it, but you can't do anything about it. And the reason why is that, let's say that it might have something to do with your employer and them having to cut back on the budget. Well, if they cut back on the budget and it affects you and your paycheck, you could get pretty mad at that, of course. But I don't think you can do anything about it. I think it's strictly a financial decision. It's not a personal decision. In other words, your boss is not singling you out at all. They're looking just at the bottom line, trying to make it through. So something that's a little bit threatening to you could be going on in your life right now, Libra. And all I can say is this too shall pass, but it's sure not passing right now. You may have to confront somebody that is sort of pulling a fast one where a legal contract is concerned. They may be putting too many conditions on it, and therefore it isn't a solid contract. It's a conditional contract. Oh, I don't know how you'd like that. Or it might be that there is something a little bit wrong with the way the terms are set up. Maybe you are not happy with the terms, or else they're not happy with the terms. Something like that. And so it may also be that you might be working with some people who are not too reputable. In other words, they're really not your best citizens. And in other words, if you're around company that is a little sleazy, that could rub off on you right now, Libra. So you have to be careful of that. So anyway, if I were you, I would just, buyer beware. And if somebody wants to skip out right now, I would say save your anger for another day and just let them go. You probably would be better off without them. And so don't worry about it. Because Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius are trining your sun. That is very good. They are retrograde or a little bit weaker, but they are both still there. And remember, Jupiter represents opportunities and expansion. Saturn represents rewards, earned the hard way over a long period of time. That planet is going to be trining your sun sign for the next 2 years. If you were thinking of moving on up to some sort of a challenging activity that would take you, let's say going back to school, it would take you 2 years before you could get your certificate or your degree, that's exactly the right thing to do. You should do that. Because if the reward is delayed and takes a while, it just means it's going to reflect very well on you when you do accomplish it. And it could open up a whole new, it could help you step up or move up to a whole new career. So think about that, Libra. Don't waste your time on being mad at people right now. Just write them off. You don't need them. And think more about how you can move up yourself. Because the aspects are wonderful for that for everybody. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time when you're just going to be blessed. You don't even have to do anything about it, Scorpio. You're just going to be blessed. And it would have something to do perhaps with a move or a family matter. Maybe a family member is going to move. But it's more likely that there is the possibility of you being able to make a dream come true. And that dream may involve a move to a nicer location around water. That would work out really well. Or if you're remodeling your home or changing it in some way, it may be in order to include someone in it that is very nice that would make you happy at home. That's fine. So, you're one lucky person right now, Scorpio. Venus at 21 degrees in your sign is exactly trine Neptune in Pisces, also at 21. And that's 21 is a Jupiter number, which means there will be expansion in your life and opportunity. And I think it has something to do either with, it's related to an ending, but an ending that is very well done and allows you to make the dream come true. It's not like an ending is just a cutoff. It means, okay, that's over. Now we move on to the next chapter, and it involves a dream coming true. So either the dream is coming to you or you're going to it, Scorpio. But it looks like it's very well aspected, and it would make you very happy. You're very popular right now, but don't spin your wheels so much that you don't think about moving up, because it is extraordinarily well aspected for you right now. Particularly to a nice location around water. That would make you happy. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Now, there aren't any planets in the fire signs, but that's okay because you don't have to be a ball of fire all the time, Sagittarius. I mean, we all like to have our little rest times, and this may be a good one for you, which is just fine. And that is because there's a lot of activity around you right now, but it isn't really happening in the fire signs, but it is happening around you. And in fact, Sagittarius, there could be a sort of a secret love in your life, or there could be something very nice going on behind the scenes, and that is because Venus is in Scorpio right behind your sun sign, and it is beautifully aspected. So even if you do not make, physically make this move up at the moment, I would say that the financial conditions are turning in your favor right now, and that will enable you to do that. It might be a little closer to the holidays, which is okay because you've got a solar eclipse in your sign on December 4th. But yours is a spiritual sign. Your sign does rule religion and philosophy and the courts and the higher mind and higher education and foreign travel. And you're sort of a good, it rules all international dealings. So you can be broad-minded enough to see a lot of different people's points of view. And it would take you a long time to make your mind up on something because you want to consider everything. But that means that when you do finally make up your mind, Sagittarius, you have a very good reason for doing that. And it's sort of okay with you. Fire signs like to move fast. It doesn't mean that you can't move fast. You can. But a Sagittarius really likes to think about things for a while. And I think that this is just a perfect time for you to move up, either to something that is more spiritually satisfying or mentally stimulating. You would love that, Sagittarius. Or to a better location, maybe near water, but a nicer one. Or a step up in your job. Or some sort of new career challenge that you're thinking of. You could do it. Remember, I'm only talking about the start of something. Okay, you don't have to accomplish the whole thing. It's just, they say you have to walk before you can run. Well, you're in the walking stages, Sagittarius, but that's okay. Everybody starts out that way. Just take one step at a time. And after you've gone a certain distance, think about it before you take any more steps. And then I think you'll be just fine. You may already have the answer to something. But you have a lot of protection behind the scenes right now with Venus right behind your sun sign. But I'll bet you there's somebody pretty nice in the background of your life, Sagittarius. And this is a time when justice can be done and when you can be very quietly happy. But maybe it's because you are actually much closer to the start of something. And you just want to think about it all now. This is a good time to do that. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, there aren't as many planets in the earth signs right now, but yours is a cardinal sign. And there are 5 planets in the cardinal signs right now, all squaring and opposing each other, which means there can be some legal difficulties or difficulties with the partnership or contract terms that, are not working out too well. Or it can simply be that somebody wants to skip out on something. Could even be something that you'd already signed a contract for, but they want to skip out. So that could be a little hard to live with. It also means that that could be financially costly to you. And the reason why is that the Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Libra, which rules partnership and it also rules the law and all legal contracts, are all squaring your sun sign where you have Pluto, and Pluto is retrograde. And then that moon in Cancer, which is very strong and is part of a grand trine in the water signs, is opposing Pluto in your sign. And there just aren't as many planets in the earth signs as there used to be. So there's no grand trine in the earth signs anymore. And so I would say you've had a good run of luck this summer, Capricorn, which is great. But you do have to watch out for some pitfalls now, and that would have to do with anything that you're thinking of signing. I would be a little cautious on doing it at the moment. Investigate further. Or what I think is that if you're investigating and you come up with more questions than answers, then you need to drop that and go find someone that, or a company that fulfills higher standards. Capricorns have high standards. So they do not want to mess around with people that are a little bit shaky. They would rather have somebody they can rely on. And so that's why you have to be a little bit careful if you are involved in any kind of a partnership or contract terms on something. This may not be the right time for you to sign something, and the reason why is that somebody can be pressing you to do it. Okay, that's the Sun and Mars exactly conjunct in Libra and squaring your Sun. And they're saying, oh, come on, you can just sign on the dotted line. That's okay. No, it isn't, Capricorn. Because if they're in a big hurry, why are they in a big hurry? Do they have something to hide? Well, you should find out. And so you just need to slow down a little bit. Your investments can fluctuate, the value of them up and down, but overall, since Uranus is continually trining your Sun and the Virgo Sun, I would say that you won't be hurt by that very much. And so if I were you, I would just do things as calmly as possible between now and Christmas, between now and your birthday. Just try to stay real calm. You don't have to be a ball of fire at all. Besides, it's fall. Just relax and enjoy the fall. We all need a little rest after this pandemic. And I bet you there's a lot of people that are going to be enjoying the home fires burning this Christmas. Because just to be looking at a nice fire at home is pretty nice after years of a pandemic. It's the simple pleasures that are the nicest. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, you could be having to deal with people that are in a big hurry right now, and you could wonder why they're in such a big hurry. Well, here's a guess. Maybe they're in a big hurry because they don't know what they're doing, so they're sort of pushing things onto you to blame you for what they don't know how to do anyway. Does that make sense? Actually, we all in our work environment have had people like that they don't know what they're doing, so they give the work to you. Okay, so that may be happening right now, because it could be to your benefit, though, because the Sun, Mars, and Mercury in Libra are trining your Sun, Aquarius, where you have Jupiter and Saturn. So there could be a pretty good reward for you sort of taking on an extra workload right now, or having to straighten out what you might call a messy deal. Something that's sort of messy. Or things that had been promised, but they got a little lost along the way, or they weren't done correctly and they have to be done over. Something like that. There's a million problems that could come up. The common denominator for all of these problems is that if they don't get solved, there will be some legal problems. And so, the problems have to be solved by somebody. And it might be you, Aquarius, that is going to get stuck with a little extra work right now. I would say that you are more than capable of taking on extra work. And that when you look at this huge mess that somebody else dumped on you because they don't know what they're doing, rather than get mad, just figure that this is one thing that after you get it all straightened out, you've got to make sure you get the credit for it. You can think of how to do that, Aquarius. Put your name on every page or something. Or introduce yourself to other people and say, oh, I know this needs fixing and I'm here to do this. Can you help me with this? But always let people know what your name is, Aquarius. Just spread that around while you're working so hard. because that's just going to make a good reputation for you when you finally get everything done right. It'll make you look like the star. And that would be appropriate because Jupiter is leaving your sun sign by the end of December. It might take you between now and December to get some big problem worked out. That if it isn't worked out, there's going to be a legal mess. So I would jump in, not because you want to save the people that don't know what they're doing anyway. I mean, they're getting paid to do something, but they don't know what they're doing. Instead, you just go right ahead and do your best effort and take credit for it, so that you can go in and say, you know, I saved our bacon here and I deserve a raise. And, you know, do that before Christmas. While Jupiter is still in your sign, you might get the raise. Okay, what does it mean to Pisces? Well, Pisces, you are absolutely lucky, Pisces. You are the person that's in the right place at the right time. And you know it. And I think that you can be very happy about that, because there's definitely a move up coming for you, Pisces. How could there not be? The moon in Cancer is trining Neptune in your sign. This is a move up that should have happened before, but it didn't for some reason. Remember, Neptune is retrograde. But it involves a dream or a plan. Okay, so it didn't work out, but it looks like it's going to now, Pisces. And then Venus in Scorpio is at 21 degrees, exactly trine Neptune in your sun sign, also at 21 degrees. So it looks to me like, Pisces, you're going to have the money to do something. Scorpio is a financial sign. Or there will be increased credit that you're able to take advantage of. Or it can be some sort of a refund that comes along at exactly the right time. But anyway, you are going to be able to move up. It's just, I think, with Venus exactly trining Neptune, which is really wonderful, that it's a dream that should have happened before, but it didn't. And it could involve an actual move, moving to a new location, perhaps near water, or it could be something that comes back to you as an opportunity that sort of breaks up the staleness of your social life and gives you something that is more spiritually or mentally stimulating, spiritually satisfying or mentally stimulating. And you'll have the money to pay for it. Gee, Pisces, I think you've been living right. So this is a wonderful time for you. And if nothing else, let's just think of the smallest thing that could happen. The smallest thing that could happen is that you're going to be extremely happy about something. And it may have something to do with a family member, or something that has to do with real estate. And also with something that has to do with an ending that works out so well that it allows a new beginning to occur. And that new beginning could be yours. And so, if you've been living in the shadows, Pisces, that's over. You're going to be heading into the light. And that's where you belong. People can't do their best in the shadows because there isn't enough light in the shadows. That's why you have to step into the light and follow it wherever it leads. Because this is your time to rise, to move up. And I think you're going to be able to do it. Congratulations. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.